Okay, so welcome everyone today to the Ostendo Freeway overview. We thought it was pretty timely with the release of Ostendo Update 227 about to come out in approximately a fortnight's time. It will have many enhanced features of Ostendo Freeway, so we thought it'd be a good idea to take you through a few of them now, and also provide an overview to everyone who is not currently using Freeway. So we're going to cover off on a lot of different areas today just to give everyone an idea of what's available with Ostendo Freeway. My name's Michael Graham. I'm the Director of the Cutcher and Your Software Division. I've been an Ostendo Enterprise Partner for approximately 10 years and have been involved in the development of the Freeway product since its inception with the Managing Director, Jeff Keith. Also have a number of panelists, so my whole team's actually on the line as well. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to raise your hand in the question panel, and either Michelle, Aaron or Hannah will respond to those. And towards the end, we'll pick out a couple of questions and have a look and perhaps answer anything directly if need be. I've also included a number of handouts. So in the bottom of your panel, you also see there's 3 handouts there. Believe it or not, they're probably also a little bit out of date now, but there are some FAQs about Freeway. There's also some features and Freeway overview for those of you who are not familiar with Freeway at all. So we'll get started. Essentially, I'm going to take you through a number of different Freeway functionalities. They will impact on customer assets, they'll impact on job field servicing, on assembly issue and receipting, on customers and taking sales orders, on purchasing, on purchase receipting, looking at some more complex data capture, and also some of the reporting you can do using the Freeway device. I'm currently running this on a pretty old Samsung tablet. And you'll see that it essentially works pretty well. I've also got the screen set to large, and this is how it looks straight out of the box without any modifications. You can obviously add your own logos and things like that. The first thing we're going to do is focus on perhaps a sales rep or a field service agent. They visit a customer site and they're going to just check up on an asset and potentially take a reading at the same time. So one of the things we can do is just start a new sheet. We can grab the customer whose site that we're on. I can go and find them by searching, pull that customer back and then decide which sheet it is that I'm going to be doing. And what I'm going to do today is take a new asset reading. It's generating the sheet for me straight away, and it's going to go off and take my GPS position at the time. I can then go away and find the asset, which in this particular instance is this air conditioning unit here, 456. I then enter my reading information. So in this case, I'm going to enter the reading value and also the date that the reading was taken. Depending on your version of Android in this case and your tablets and whether it's Apple or not, you'll get different date and different time functions depending on which Android or iOS operating system you're using at the time. So obviously I took that reading today. I can take an audio note and enter that audio note. I can also add a technician note if I'm on site taking some information. Remember, I'm using a emulator here, so I'm using a keyboard, but in a normal environment, you would bring up your keyboard potentially, and you could also use speech to text and use the microphone next to the space bar on your keyboard and actually speak that information into the system. And as you saw above here, I could almost just do a full audio note and that will get saved back into the Ostendo system as well. I can then complete that data sheet. There we go, and that's now sent that information back into Ostendo. Back in Ostendo, we've obviously got our customer asset, and we can go and find our customer asset there, and then we can look at the asset readings, and you can see on the 27th of the 6th, 2007, you can see there's my reading value coming in. The other thing that does is then that adds then to the actual predictive nature of that asset, and essentially this one has been driven by date rather than the predictive reading cycle, and then I can push that straight into the system the normal way by using service orders required. You can see here, here's my asset, air conditioning unit model number 26. I can select that, push that, and generate that order. Once that order's been generated, we are able to then go and open the assignment board and allocate it to the board. And just so you can see that, here we have our job orders. You can see here's the air conditioning service that's gone in, which is 400,216. By opening up my assignment board, I can go and find that job, which here it is here, my air conditioning service 400,216, and I can throw it onto the assignment board to be done. I can throw it up here, and you can see then that it's now allocated. But I've got a bit of an overlap here, so what I can do is open the assignment and schedule the following assignment and close that, and it's moved it along and allowed a 30-minute break in between, which is just a setting I've got set up there. While I'm in here, I can see that everything's been highlighted. At the moment, those highlights are by tracking code, but I can go and look for where there might be shortages, and it can go and assess that for me. You can see I've got a shortage here. I can then revert my highlight back to potentially what's been double booked, out of sequence, overdue, or based on its assignment status. I'm just going to return it to tracking code, and that way I know what's going along. That job I've assigned to Bob Drum, and you'll see now that if I return to Freeway, if I return to Freeway, I can then go and find my jobs. I can refresh it, and you'll see that job come through. You can see here it is here. Here's my 400,216. After having just been allocated the board, as Bob's gone into his device, it's done a live refresh and see that his next job is ready to go. Once that's done its live refresh, I then go and select the sheet that I'm going to do. So this one is to run a service sheet. So there's a couple of things happening. One is it's sending an on-site status back to the assignment board. As that's happened, the assignment board gets updated, and sorry, I just need to reload that. Okay, so it sends an on-site indicator back to the assignment board, and also sends a default code back to the assignment board as well. So the assignment board can be refreshed, and it will allow you to the service coordinator to be able to see what's going on back in the office that the job's been started. It'll also move it and shift it based on the actual start time. Once we basically get there, we can have a look and get any information that we need about the job. It'll also give us sheet information. We can see the notes as they get that were created from prior sheets. So those tech notes will come through and can be reviewed and looked at any stage. We can also look at information about the job, the description, perhaps the start and end time that it was assigned, And we also have asset information as well that we can look at. The other thing is if you have a data connected device, you can also pull the mobile and actually call them or SMS them to let them know that you could be late or that you're on your way. So all this functionality is standard. In this one, I've added an amount due so I can see what's going on, and you can also determine which notes actually get pulled back to the system. In this particular instance, we have a site risk assessment that needs to be filled in. It's mandatory, so it actually has to be filled in. And as each one of these is optional though, so they're not mandatory required. These ones are mandatory optional. And in fact, all these different sections I've set as mandatory optional. However, I have set the last one at the bottom to be risk assessment completed. You see mandatory all, which means that that one cannot be avoided. It has to be completed to be able to move forward. And you can see now I've got a tick in the site risk assessment. If that didn't exist, I would not be able to complete the sheet. In terms of timesheet entry, my time has already started, and if I do nothing else on completion of the sheet, it will actually stop it at the time I complete the sheet. I can allocate materials and charges as I go through, and I can go and add any extra bits and pieces that I may need as I've worked through here. May need to add a couple of extra washers. Okay, and if there's any concern about product and things, I can actually do a quick refresh and inquire and see if I've actually got any of these. The other thing I can do is take site photos, which I won't do, but it just pulls your camera back, and if I hit the plus, it'll actually take a picture. Just while the emulator's running, it doesn't always like that. And the other thing I can do is also either take a picture and sketch over it, or I can actually just add my own sketch if need be. This could be the house, and this is where we're going to set the air conditioner unit up. If I'm not sure where I'm going, I can launch Google Maps and ask for directions. I can add service notes to the screen, and those can be determined as to moving towards the job. I can also do technician notes as well if I'm set up to do that, and they could go specifically to the asset and potentially be only seen internally. I can add a technician signature, although it's not mandatory, but as you can see, the customer signature is mandatory. And then I can have the customer sign that away. I can update with a job tracking code, and I can also print the sheet. And in this case, I'm just going to view it to screen for you. And it'll capture the information about the site risk assessment, any start and end times, although I haven't completed that yet, and then what's been issued to the job, any images, pictures, signatures, all those things are all captured and able to be taken back. And then I can complete the data sheet. And that will send that information back into Freeway for me. So now that that information's back into Freeway, you can see here we've got a tick on that, so that's telling me that the job was started, and it also, you can see it slid it back into the 12:10 mark, which actually, because it's used shift logic to move the assignment back to when it was actually commenced. So as the day goes, things can be moved and not moved, but it all depends on how you configure the shift logic to make that happen.